It's wonderful to be here, and I want to thank poets and writers and Barnes & Noble for this honor. When I heard Elliot say that it was 38 years ago that poets and writers began over a kitchen table, it brought to mind that poets and writers about that time, maybe not 38, maybe 30 years ago, was the one poetry organization whose phone number I had memorized. And it was so amazing to me 30 years ago that I could call this number and get the phone number of any writer in the United States. I knew I was 2 phone calls away from Galway Canal, but never 1 phone call away. And I did make that phone call. So I think we all started around the kitchen table, and it's all about love and dedication, and I'm grateful to all of the people here who helped me get where I am, and many of those people are right here in this room. Toni Morrison said that she writes the novels that she needs to read. I could say that I helped to make the communities that I needed to be part of. Do the things you love, and what I love more than anything is to be present when poems are born. I learned as I was teaching in the Poets in the School program that writing poetry really does change lives. I'd go to classrooms for 1 hour a day for 4 days. I worked with thousands of children. Several years later, I went back to children I had worked with years before and found that some of the children's lives had changed after they wrote one poem. One girl, Desiree Titmus, a 4th grader, who had never spoken before and hidden under her teacher's desk, was on her way to the room for retarded children when she wrote, "I, the mountain, am big. In the morning, people climb me with ropes and picks and a camping pack. In the evening, my mountain gets purple. Then it is dark." With every word spelled correctly. Her mother said she had gone on to be the class clown, and in high school, class president, and then on to college. Writing a poem was a power I knew no one could take away. Yet, as a black poet, I was discouraged. Believe it or not, at that point, I had read no black poets in grade school, high school, college, or graduate school. A professor, when I had asked, said, "We don't go down that low." It's very real. Perhaps we weren't entitled to this high art. They say a poet writes in solitude and isolation. You just said that. However, under such circumstances, I could not have survived as a writer without the support of a community. Cave Canem began as a community. It began with Sarah Micklem, Cornelius Eady, and me. It began in trust and friendship. If you think about negative capability, the poet opens up a happen. Cave Canem is like that, a space we opened up for something to happen, and it did happen. We all wanted this community so badly that it almost had to happen. My friend, the priest, Father Francis Scargani, let us use the monastery on the Hudson that next year. Cornelius, Sarah, then Elizabeth Alexander, and a file weaver who joined us that first year as faculty without a salary. The first night when we sat in a circle and were astounded by the sight, a circle of African American poets, many of us had never experienced anything like that. Cornelius and I walked around saying, "Who's in charge here?" The circle we sit in on the first night, we still do 12 years later, indicates many things. It is a metaphor. In a circle, we face each other, confront each other. It's a way of calling us all to the seriousness of our work. In the circle, we mirror each other. So when one of us feels broken or unable, we look across and see our power and beauty reflected in someone else. 15 years ago, I could never have imagined the flourishing of hundreds of powerful African American poets, their writing, publishing, teaching, and most of all, their connectedness to each other. Let's say you might have been able to wish for a life before you were born. I couldn't have wished for this. This gift is so far from my sense of possibilities that a part of me is still catching up to the fact of its happening. Yet, somehow, the wish was there. There is nothing more I could have asked for than to have been present to see this great birthing of American poetry. Thank you very much.